Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out. Great to be joined by the problem, Michael McKinson. Looking forward to getting a call hopefully soon as he looks to get back towards the big fights and big nights. Michael just spoke a little bit briefly there, but just sensing your frustration online as to getting a fight date penciled in.
Yeah, it's quite difficult at the moment. Like I've had 29 professional fights. I've only lost twice. They've both been at world level. Once against Ortiz in Texas, and obviously I've done well in the fight. And then I lost in October for the IBO against Talani and Bengay. And people that have watched it and know me could see there was something wrong with me on the night. And didn't make any excuses, but the matter of fact was I was out in America sparring with Boots and Julian Williams and people like that. And I actually flew home 10 days before
Hmm.
with the flu. It took a lot out of me, but I still decided to fight because I'd not earned a penny all year. I'd had a IBO title fight like given to me. That might not have ever happened again. So got rid of the cold, firstly. Still fat, a little bit weak. We're talking fight week, just being able to breathe again. And made weight okay. And all that was going in my head was I've had a great camp. Look who I've been sparring or took myself to Philadelphia. But you never really know how much stuff like that takes out of you. And obviously I didn't really train for the last 10 days because I was getting over this illness. And I had a good first round and that's when I realised, wow, it's took a lot out of me. So I was so fit going into the fight, and I had nothing after one round. So yeah, it was a tough one to take. But since then, like, I've still got a good ranking. I think on BoxRec, I'm third. On the EBU rankings, I I'm the highest ranked British fighter in the EBU rankings. So I've still got a good enough ranking, but no one wants to speak about me. Like the promoters ain't speaking about me. The boxing people are not speaking about me. You see all these other welterweights, even domestically, getting fights with each other, but my name's always frozen out. I don't know why. Like I still think I'll beat all of them domestically, but it's very tough at the minute.
Yeah, I remember being ringside for that fight, and I thought the scorecards didn't reflect how good of a watch that fight was between you and Benge. What I did wonder though, in the build up to the fight, you were kind of saying that you felt you needed to be a bit more entertaining because your style has been critiqued as maybe not as TV friendly as it could be, and you did do that, and you've done that in your previous fights, and in this one as well, I think you held your feet a lot more. Do you feel that
Yeah,
trying to entertain the crowd has sort of detrimented you getting wins?
it was like that for a little while. Going into the fight and in that fight, that wasn't the plan at all.
Right.
Um, But being real, I had nothing in my legs, and my legs are my best attribute, I think.
Yeah.
And I had nothing. I was really just felt weak and stuff. So I had no choice but to just box on pure heart and pure chin. It was a tough one to take. I couldn't really do much in there. Nine times out of ten, I probably beat Umbenge. I trained very well for it. Like I said, took myself away. It was a long camp because it kept getting moved back, but I was out in New York at the beginning of the camp training, and then I was up in Manchester getting good rounds with Jack Rafferty. And then I took myself to Philadelphia, sparring with Jaron Ennis and sparring with Julian Williams and just being around like world class fighters. So I was really confident. And obviously, I was out of luck a little bit with. I'm taking nothing away from Mbenge. They got it right. They came in fit. They came in hungry. But that was the worst Michael McKinson you could have probably see. And I know that the people around me know that, and I think maybe I don't know. Maybe people don't want to give me that chance again. I don't know. But the fact is, I'll fight any of them. give me a full 8 weeks, and I'll fight any of them.
Well, let's get to that conversation then. Is there a fight in mind that you want above any at this point in time? You felt that on Twitter, you said that, do I have to call out names and things like that?
Yeah,
Is there anyone you want to speak about?
what domestically?
Anything, yeah,
Because
domestically,
you
otherwise.
look, you've got a great fight this weekend in Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan.
Hmm.
That's a great fight. Um, you've obviously got Echo that's been awarded the Josh Taylor fight,
Hmm.
um, which is great for him. You know, he's what's he, 36 maybe. He's not a young guy, Echo. So it's great to see him get a big fight like that. Who else you got? Oh, Harry Scarf was really unlucky a few weeks ago, and like fair play to Conor Walker. I don't think he's a great fighter, Conor Walker at all, but like he found something out of the bag and beat Harry Scuff. All of these guys, I will fight at the click of my fingers. You know, like I've made that no secret. And there's loads of fights domestically. I think really for me in this stage of my career, I'm 10 years in. I have boxed at world level. I've tasted what it's like. I feel like it has to be like a decent enough fight for me, like a decent enough name. Um, you've even got the Americans, Blair Cobbs I've been linked to before. Uh, Alexis Roger I've been linked to before. Like, why am I not getting the phone calls? I don't know why. I've still got a great ranking. I've only lost 2 fights out of 29. So yeah, tough at the minute. I'm probably like you may be able to tell me different. I'm probably one of the best fighters the UK has without a promoter or without help.
Hmm.
And another little stat that I'll chuck out there. I've been a pro 10 years, over 10 and a half years. I've had 29 professional fights. I've boxed in all different countries on all different platforms. I've only had a promoter for 3 of my fights. So I've only had backing for 3 of my fights out of 29 professional fights. Um, it's mental stats to see what I've done and what I've achieved without help. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a very frustrating time because we don't know what's next.
No, I can obviously feel your frustration coming through. But that experience over in America sparring with those level of fighters, Julian Williams and Boots, as you mentioned, it must have felt that brought you on. What was it like sparring over there with those two fighters?
It was incredible. You go into Bosie's dungeon and you got to earn respect in Bosie Ellis's gym, and they do 4 minute rounds. You know, I
Mm.
don't. I think it's like 25-second break or 30-second break. It's it's hard. You have to, but by the end of it, Bosie Bosie loved me, and I really earned respect the hard way. You know, and it was very good. But I've always kind of done things like that. I remember back in 2019, I flew to Philadelphia on my own. I was out there for a few weeks, sparring some real tough fights. The English boy going into these gyms, it's like something out of the Rocky films. You know, it's kind of tough to earn respect. I remember 2019. I went to Tim Witherspoon actually took me to James Schuler's gym in Philadelphia, and they looked at me and they wouldn't let me spar the welterweights. They wouldn't let me spar the 147s for some reason, and they went, "If you want to spar today, you've got to spar this guy." And it was a young lad on the US team, I think, and he's a pro now. Teeth Alberton. He's a light heavyweight. He was a light heavyweight, and I had to spar him. And you like things like it's character building, definitely. So I've done it for a long time and like fortunate I've got a good sponsor that kind of gives us help if we need to go away. They kind of help us and stuff. So but yeah, but I need to be boxing to be able to do stuff like this, you know?
Do you think Boots beats Stanionis?
Um I think he does. I think Stanionis is a very good fighter. Um I don't know how long Boots is going to stay at 147 for. Like, I didn't think he looked great in his last fight. I think everyone was expecting him to do one better against Karen, and you've got to give props to Karen. I think he done very well in the fight. But yeah, I've been in the ring with Boots. I've sparred him, and he is a very, very good fighter. Like, he's a very good fighter. Um, so I would expect him to beat Stanionis, yeah.
Huge fight and huge news recently. Of course, I've seen you and many of the boxing world reacting to that press conference that happened. We're expecting another one later on today in the form of Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. And what stole the headlines and amongst all the interaction was the slap, which saw Chris Eubank Jr. armed with an egg hitting the face of Conor Benn. Your reaction to that moment, Michael?
Connor's so angry, isn't he? I didn't want to make a comment on it, like watch it, but I, like everyone else, sat and watched and was entertained. Um, I feel like Eubank was very good with his words in the presser, and Connor reacted. But it's all fun and games, isn't it? Like, I think it's made the fight even bigger. So yeah, exciting times.
If you break down the fight, who do you feel is the favorite in it, considering the rehydration clause?
Is the rehydration clause as first, like, do they have to weigh in first thing in the morning when they wake up fight day?
Not sure of the details. I assume that it's 170 and it'll be in the morning, won't it? Wouldn't it?
Yeah, so they could do that as early as possible. I don't think it will play a massive part, depending on how big. I'm just putting myself in them shoes. I could I could do that rehydration clause first thing in the morning, then rehydrate even more, get myself even bigger for the fight. I don't think it'll play a massive part. I feel like Eubank's the favourite, rightly so. He's the bigger guy. He is the guy that's boxed at a better level. He's been in the ring with some like good fighters, DeGale, Groves, Billy Joe, an old Arthur Abraham. Like, he has got better experience than Conor Benn. Like, Conor Benn's name is probably bigger than what he's done in pro boxing because he knocked out an old Algieri. That's kind of the highlight of his career, kind of thing. Um, so you would definitely make Eubank the favourite in the fight. People may look into the rehydration as a big thing and stuff like. Of course, like, it's a disadvantage for Eubank doing that. Um, who knows? Who knows? But I would probably sway towards a Eubank win.
Apologies for not knowing off the top of my head, but have you sparred either men before?
I sparred Chris Eubank because he's only from Brighton. Years ago, he probably wouldn't remember. It was before I turned pro, so I'm about an 18-year-old lad. He used to come down to Portsmouth. He'd come down a few times to spar the bigger pros in our gym at the time. We had a couple of middleweights and stuff. So he came down, and I remember there was not enough bodies for him. And I jumped in for 4 rounds with him, and I probably did better than the bigger guys, like making him miss and stuff like that. But I was only a young kid, and to be fair to Eubank, it was like, he was a pro, but it was before he'd done anything as a pro, kind of thing. But yeah, I've sparred Eubank a long time ago. Never sparred Ben. Uh, but yeah, Eubank probably would never remember sparring me.
What could you tell about Eubank then? Could you tell that he was, of course, Eubank name means that he was going to get opportunities, but that he would go on to be successful in the sport?
um, the only thing I kind of remember was he turned up before everybody else, but he was the last one ready. We had to wait hours for him to be ready to get in and spar. Literally, like, it was really getting late.
Right.
So it was all on his time, kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I just feel like the experience he's gained in a pro ring is better than the experience that Connor's gained in a pro ring. He's had a real bad few years. Conor has. Even with the two comeback fights, I feel like he's looked very ordinary. Pete Dobson was there like a sitting duck for Conor Benn to take out of there, and I feel like Conor Benn 3 years ago would have probably stopped him. Um, so yeah, that's why I'm swaying towards Eubank. He kind of thing, but like another thing, time waits for no man, and he is getting on Eubank, making middleweight again. It's going to take its toll, isn't it? So, but if I had my last pound, I would bet Eubank.
Last thing I want to close out on, look, I was just going to pitch a fight. Of course, I don't have any magic wand or anything like that, but the possibility of you and David Avanesyan, I think, would be a real good fight, one that you welcome as well.
100%. As long as I've got good time to prepare and there's a promoter that's going to put the fight on, please,
Mm.
please. No, I feel like I've earned the right more than a lot in my career of boxing. I've had to do things the real hard way. Like I said, only three of my 29 professional fights I've been signed to a promoter for. Everything else has been kind of like taking every opportunity that's come my way, kind of thing. And so yeah, I would welcome a fight with David Avanesyan, depending on what he's got next. I know he's been out helping Paddy Donovan prepare. Um, that's a fight. That's a fight that's always on the radar. Um, Other names I've been linked to in the past are the American guys, Blair Cobbs, Alexis Roger. Um, but the fact is, as long as it's a good name and I've got good time to prepare, let's do it.
Michael, pleasure speaking to you. Hopefully, we'll see you back in the ring very soon in a big fight, a fight that you've been looking for with the notice that you're looking for, of course, as well, too. We never know how boxing works, but thank you for giving me some of your
Yeah,
time and
just a quick one. I'm saying about the notice. I have had one phone call, but it was on I think 2 weeks' notice.
okay.
And there was no way. It was I don't know who it is, like an African guy that fought on a boxer card, but and it was at 1-5, like it was at super welter, but I wouldn't have made the weight on
Mhm.
2 weeks' notice. Do you know what I mean? And things like that, if I was a bit fitter, but um, I'm not one to turn fights down, but just give me a fair shout.
I think that's more than reasonable. Mikey, much appreciated. Hopefully, we'll see you back in the ring soon. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out, sir.